Hey guys, it's Lisa from Turning Pages, and today I'm reviewing Gayle Forman's Just One Day and Just One Year. I'm actually giving away my very own 2 hardback copies of Just One Day and Just One Year on my blog right now. The link will definitely be down below, so if you're interested in possibly winning them, then definitely go ahead and check it out and enter. So if you don't know what Just One Day is about, it's actually about a girl who takes a trip to Paris. She's been in this kind of grouped student tour across Europe for the last 3 or so weeks. She hasn't really been having too much fun. They basically sit on a bus every day and kind of drive to these sceneries or these monuments or these statues or, pretty historic places in all of these countries, but they never really get out and they never really do anything exciting. Except a lot of the teens that are going there and even some of the adults that are hosting this tour go out every night and go to the bar and go drinking. But Allison really doesn't do that. She's more to herself. She likes to be kind of on the good side, I guess. She doesn't really do anything too crazy or too bad. But she hasn't been having too much fun, even though her best friend is on this trip also. Things quickly turn around and quickly get intense when Allison and her best friend decide to skip the last day of the tour and go out on their own and explore. They actually run into a group of actors that are advertising a Shakespeare kind of street play, and both of them really want to go, so they do. When they go to this play, Allison kind of sees this really interesting guy that she saw earlier announcing the play and that she kind of talked to, but not too much. And he actually ends up throwing her this coin at the end of the show. And she's not sure what this means or if it means anything at all. But she's really interested and she kind of wants to actually see him. But she knows it's not possible because she is going home after the weekend. On the way to the train station to go wherever they were planning to go, they actually run into the same guy right before they're about to board. His name is actually William. She never asked him for his last name, but she is definitely shocked to see him again. Allison is bummed that she never got to experience Paris because that trip was actually canceled due to flight issues and technicalities and whatnot. So when she actually tells William this, he spontaneously says, "Let's go for one day to Paris, you and me." Allison has never done anything crazy like this before, but she says yes. And even though her best friend feels a little bit scared and isn't really sure how to act on this, she makes Allison promise to be back by the next day and to stay safe. Allison goes, she spends the entire day with William doing the craziest, randomest things, going on a boat, riding bikes, and at night they even actually get really close. But this great day quickly ends when Allison wakes up and she sees that William is gone and so are all of his things. The story then fast forwards to when Allison goes to college, how she overcomes this heartache that she has still from the summer, and how she might want to reconnect with William even though she thinks it's quite impossible. I don't want to give too much away from the ending. I know that I said a lot, but I kind of wanted to give a detailed description of what goes on in the story. I don't even know where to start really reviewing this book. When I first heard about it initially and heard the title and what it was about, I was a little confused because I was like, okay, just one day, how is that going to work? Is the author really going to base that one book on just a single day, an entire 300-page book on a single day? There has to be a lot going on in this day. I was worried that I was going to be completely bored and I was going to be given details of a coffee mug and the rock and the sidewalk and anything just to fill up these 300 pages. I was definitely proved wrong by Gayle Forman and her writing. Just one day, half of the book actually does just take place in a few days. The first few days are when Allison's still on the tour with her friend, and then the official just one day happens, and that takes up quite a bit of the book. Then after all that happens and her heart is broken and she goes back home and she moves on to college, the story actually takes place quickly. The story is by months, I believe. So there's like 1 month that's October, then another month that's November, and another month that's December. It goes by really quickly. And then when she starts going back to Paris and she's starting to prep for that, it actually slows down again, and I actually really like that. I like that it sped through the really boring parts or the parts that becomes repetitive, and it kind of went slow on the like really good parts. I don't know really how to explain that, but you know when you eat food slowly because you want to enjoy the flavor, that's definitely what Gayle Forman did with the elements and with the story like segments that were really, really good and really meant a lot. So I definitely liked the writing and the layout or the organization and how all that worked. I don't really have too much to say about the characters. We didn't really learn too much about William in this book because he was actually meant to be a character who was kind of mysterious and who you don't know as much. You know as much about him as Allison does, and I actually really like that as well. I like that I didn't know more than her, because otherwise I feel like it would have been like, oh my god, that's so obvious, how does she not know that? I actually liked knowing just as much as Allison knew and kind of being hidden in the dark just like she was. Allison, on the other hand, was really kind of quiet into herself at the beginning of the book, but then all of a sudden she goes on this complete like splurge and goes crazy bananas. I didn't really get that at the beginning. I was like, okay, like I'm not really one to do something crazy, but I definitely would not do that. Just meet some guy in a foreign country and decide to go alone with him to a different country or a different city or whatever. Definitely wouldn't do that. But then later on, when things roll out and you kind of get a taste of Allison's life, I definitely understood why she did it. Her mom is a complete control freak. Her mom has these calendars where she plans Allison's every single day and move and activity, and it's absolutely crazy. So I definitely see where she felt the need to kind of break out of that, and I like that she did that. Even though I didn't really understand it at the beginning of the story, it made sense towards the end. So, the ending is going to be the last thing I'm talking about, I guess. I had a lot of high hopes for the ending, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting too much. I wasn't sure if she would find William in Paris because he does travel a lot. You do know that about him, that he travels a lot. And that he goes from one town to the next, or he does this acting thing. So I wasn't sure like if he might still be in Paris or not. Also, you don't really know the guy, like, so then I had this point where I was like, okay, she's not gonna find him. But then there's that inside of me that's like, oh my god, she's gonna find him and they're gonna fall in love and it's gonna be so great. But you know, so I was at both ends. There wasn't really a happy medium for me, but the story does go a pretty good way that I liked, but it cuts off right at the good part. Like, it cuts off, it was so meaningful. I understood how meaningful it was. I understood how much it meant to her and how big of a like role it played in her life, and I understood all that. But then, like, there was nothing at the end. It just cut off at the really good part. And I just wanted to see what they, like, what would happen, you know? Like, once all this happened, I want to know what happens now. And so, yeah, I was a little sad by the ending. But it was so good. So good. So I couldn't help myself. And I decided to go ahead and read Just 1 Year right after I read Just One Day. With that crazy ending, I was excited to get to this one and to see how the story continues. But when I opened the book, my heart completely broke and shattered me into a million pieces, and I'm pretty much dead, so. Just kidding. This one actually is the same thing. It's the exact same thing, but this time it's in his perspective. It takes off right after he leaves that morning when Allison wakes up during their trip to Paris or whatever. takes off from right there on his side of the story, goes throughout that whole entire year where Allison's in college and stuff, but again, his side of the story. And then when Allison comes to Paris, again, all what he's doing at the same time. I'd have to say, I'm not really sure how I feel about this second book. I was expecting more of a ending that kind of explained, or a story that kind of explained that ending, but I didn't really get that. It was, I'd have to say it was a little bit slower than this first book. It took place over months and months and months. There wasn't just one day. It was kind of dragged out, I felt. We did get to learn a lot about William de Ruyter, which I actually liked. He was this guy that you'd never expect him to be. He does these random things which are absolutely amazing. But I felt like there wasn't really anything I was looking forward to because I knew exactly how the story already ended. I knew how it ended. I kind of had this high hope that maybe this book would take the ending a little bit farther and show me what would happen after that ending, but it didn't do that. It stopped like a little bit after, and it was just a little bit disappointing again. I'd have to say that this book was good as well, but I don't really know. I just think it was this kind of weird segment where she felt like she should put his side. I actually liked seeing his side of things, and I actually liked seeing what he was doing that entire year, but that the ending didn't take it any farther, and that if you read the first book, you already know how it's going to end, and it's not going to go any further than that. And that was a little bit sad, I thought, and I was a little like disappointed about that. So yeah. Other than that, I thought the book was really good, but I was hoping it would just take it one step farther and tell me what happens after what happened in that one. So I don't think I can really say too much more without giving too much away, or that's not on the synopsis in the back. I enjoyed the first book. If I had to rate it out of 5 stars, I'd definitely give it a 5. If I had to rate the second one out of 5 stars, I think I'd give it like a 3, maybe a 3.5, simply because my heart was completely crushed at the beginning of the book and slowly rebuilt throughout the book, but then again crushed towards the end of the book. Yeah. So if you're actually interested in reading these, or if you've already read them, or if you have anything to say, just feel free to comment down below. I love hearing your guys' comments. And yes, that's it for me. Bye, guys.